hate to say that, but there was a bit of bad luck. I mean, that handball, as everybody saw, no intent there. Definitely disappointing, and there's a heaviness around it.
You couldn't have convinced me that this would have been the result tonight.
No.
No chance, especially when you're looking at the first half from Canada. You know what? Not even the first half, the first 20 minutes, where they came out, they were pressing, the way that they seemed to go forward. But I think this is also just what comes down to managing a game. You don't play two halves the same. There aren't two halves of football that are exactly the same. First half, Canada were on the front foot. They're pressing. They had chances. They were scoring. But you don't have to beat Jamaica
not at all.
by 3 goals. What you need to go into the second half doing is not lose the game.
And I think the debate we were having was, when do you start to get into those game management shapes? When you start to drop players back, not send your fullbacks fully forward, not send Eustachios fully forward, not allow Kone to start dribbling and getting into that danger zone. When?
I think when I'm looking at the game and looking at second half, Jamaica came out, and this seemed Leon Bailey should have scored, the one off the crossbar.
Absolutely.
There are those moments where you're like, okay, we're lucky, or whew, we dodged the bullet.
Momentum.
But then I think in the second phase, when you're keeping the ball, just keep it moving. Take the sting out of the game. I don't think Canada was good enough in that area today. It was one speed. Let's go forward. Let's go and try to get that second goal. But if that is not working, there needs to be a plan B, which is keep the ball, take this thing out of the game, possess, make Jamaica work. Second half, Jamaica could just go from coast to coast, end to end,
they did.
And press, and they did that. You're making it a track meet, and for me, I wouldn't want to go to a track meet against Jamaicans. You got to go and take this thing out of the game, and for me, that was just poor from Canada in the second half.
So how? I know you said a little bit there, but how did this happen? Was this about maybe some substitutions that needed to be made? Do you look at the manager, Mauro Biello, in that second half? Do you also look at the players and perhaps the way they were playing?
I don't think at halftime any changes needed to be made. It was all gravy at halftime. Everyone's happy. We're excited. We're looking at the highlights. We're saying, look at this Canadian team go. I think when you look at the 3 subs that were made, that triple sub, also Hoylett and Mac, Mark Anthony, I think there's something around Kay. Were those the right subs? I think that's where I started questioning, what is the intent of those subs? Is this to lock up the game, to get into a closing strategy? Do you want to continue to build a momentum again and go get another goal? What's the intent? Because I didn't see any defensive strategy coming in at that time, because everything changed when that goal came out, got scored. Yeah, so nothing changed.
I agree with you, Carm. I also think, too, with players, you're looking at Mauro Biello to maybe change a formation. But I think it's just sometimes a look. Carm, you've played.
Yes.
50th minute, 55th minute, 60th minute. It's a look between center backs and center midfielders.
New risk.
Yeah. Look, this is what our coach has said, but we're out here, we're on the pitch, and we can feel that they're pressing. Let's survive the storm. Let's take care of this moment.
Let's keep Eustachios back a little bit longer as that second screen, because guess what? They're finding pockets against us, and they're getting transitions. There's things you can do within the game.
Be a bit more disciplined. Be a bit more pragmatic. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I didn't say park the bus.
No.
I just said protect what you have, and I feel like the second half, Canada threw caution to the wind a bit too much.
All right, we're going to break down these goals just a little bit more, because I think we can also, as you mentioned, a little bit was bad luck for Canadians. But first, this is what we're looking at right now as far as Copa America and the teams. This is why it's so coveted to get into this tournament, allowing 6 teams from Concacaf to get in. And here's the thing. The Canadians will still have a chance to go. They will be able to play in another playoff game. That will be in March, I believe March 23rd. So it's in and around when the Final Four for Concacaf Nations League is happening. So they won't be in that, but they will be joining the likes of Trinidad and Tobago, Costa Rica. Now it's Canada. Later on tonight, Mexico, Honduras, they have to wrap up their game. So which one of those teams will then go in? So you can see Panama will, play the winner in United States, and you have Panama, Jamaica, United States, who have gone through to the Final Four of CONCACAF Nations League. Who's going to join them, Honduras or Mexico? Which one of them will join Canada, Trinidad and Tobago, and Costa Rica in trying to get into Copa America? Let's take a look at these goals. Let's take a look at the handball, and if we feel that this was harsh, we could probably debate this until the cows come home. Did you think Stefan Eustachios' arm was in an unnatural position? Was this a harsh call?
This was a harsh call. I don't think it's in a unnatural position. I think also with referees, you have to understand the climate and what's happening and what's at stake. This is not a situation where it's a clear penalty. This is a clear handball. I also think the handball rule in general is really subjective. It's how referees feel on the day. Because I've seen that call many a time, and referees say play on. So for me, Calm, to call that a pen, I think that's Eustachio's hard done by.
Listen, I don't disagree. The devil's advocate piece is that it did deflect from a goal-scoring opportunity, a potential that it was going to land in a different area that would have been a little bit more advantageous for the Jamaicans to score a goal. So it did get in the way of a goal-scoring opportunity, and that's where I think you can debate that all day long. A little bit unnatural, a little bit outside the body. A little bit.
And also before that, by the way, that ended up being the winner there, the penalty scored in the 78th minute. But what about the other goal that made it 2-1? So Nicholson gets a brace in this one. There's some debate about this second goal here and the taking down of Kone. Was he, in fact, fouled, in your opinion, Jordan?
Yeah, I think he gets tugged right there by Reed. He does get tugged. It's good enough to be called. But for me, the defender in me is, why is he in that situation where they can go to just straight to goal in 5 seconds, Con?
Yeah, and also when you start to see the pressure mount here on Kone, you got to start seeing Larea start to track back sooner. Because as you see, the player actually gets into the space where Larea could have been maybe negating a little bit. And you also had Eustachio, who was not in an attacking balanced position. He was going to join Kone in the attack, and therefore they were exposed, those two poor center backs.
Yeah, and another thing I have to mention as well, Karim, is that you have both fullbacks going.
Totally.
Right?
Larea needs to come in.
If you want that defensive transition, and BL have talked about, and players know at this level, if the right side is gone, then the left side needs to tuck in, right? So you don't have a situation where it's 3 against 2 with Jamaica going forward. So there are those little things, but to answer your question, I do think Kone was fouled.
Because all valid points.
100%.
I also
if I go like this to you, that's a foul.
That's what I feel like.
Right?
Everything else you guys broke down, we didn't need to break down if the whistle was blown.
You're supposed to scream, by the way, when I pulled you. It was nothing, though.
I don't stay down for that. Here's Milan Borjan.
Milan, a tale of two halves. What changed in the second half?
I don't know. We had everything in our hands. First half, we had like 4 chances to score, to get this with this game, to get over with it. But the Blake made amazing saves. We were just this wasn't us. Second half, we came too easy, thinking that everything's gonna be easy. They came very hard, and they deserved it. They won. They deserved it.
How difficult will it be to bounce back from this?
Very difficult, but we gotta sit down all together, look each other in the eyes, and see what went wrong. Because this is unacceptable. This team, to have players like that and to do something like this, it's not acceptable. I'm very angry. As a captain, I'm sorry to the nations that we didn't go to the semis, but we got another chance in March for the Copa America, and we'll try to do everything, bounce back, and try to make our nation happy. Thank you.
There will be some soul searching that the Canadians will have to do for sure, because as you heard Milan Borjan reiterate what we had said earlier, they do have a chance to qualify for Copa America in March as well. But this is not where they want to be. This is a team that talks about winning trophies. You do that in your region. That's your best chance at doing that. And Karn, part of the conversation as well with this team is they should be consistently winning in Concacaf. Yeah. The next step needs to be beating those teams outside of Concacaf. Do you feel like this is a step back for the program?
I think there's going to be, tremendous soul searching, but also learnings from this, understanding what this team actually needs right now tactically, which coach they need, which players they need to bring in. They still didn't get a big look at the roster. There's some boxes that haven't been ticked in this window. Not only do they need to secure this, they also didn't explore their pool. So there's a lot to look at. And I think the end in mind is 2026. There's still a lot to be done, a lot to be discovered until then. This is a mini step back, or a big step back, I should say, but for them to propel forward. I really believe they're going to learn from this. I really do.
Mm-hmm. How incumbent do you think it also is to get as many camps as you can?
As many.
Well, I think that speaks for itself, right? That's self-explanatory for the guys to come in and to work on the chemistry. But this moment that was just there tonight, you don't get those situations often, right? And you want to see a Canadian team that capitalized on it. But it's got now they got to go the hard way. They have to do the hard route now.
Yeah, again, this was a team that had a good showing in game one, was in control of this game in the first half, and really a player who kept Jamaica in it, allowed his team to come back, was the goalkeeper, Andre Blake, as we get to the All-State save of the match. I mean, this was early on in our halftime show. We showed a lot of his saves. This was the 14th minute off Kyle Laird. He made a lot of brilliant saves in the beginning, even in the second half, coming up big as well, to keep his team in it. And now you could see how those saves came back in that second half, and his team walks away with the 3-2 victory.
Yeah, he could have easily been the player of the match tonight.
He could have been everything.
A huge save from 6 yards out. And look how big he makes himself. That's a great reaction save.
Didn't get up too quickly after that save, but clearly was okay to stay in the match. Here, so Andre Blake, of course, coming up as the hero, because you look back on those saves and then you kind of start to wonder what could have been for Canada. Borjan alluded to it in his post-game, right?
Yeah, he really did. And I think, those moments, putting it even side netting, you're going to be, the strikers, David, Laren, they're going to be recasting those at night and thinking those are going to be their nightmares moving forward, because one of those goals changes the whole trajectory of this entire match.
It's always one of those things, right? The defenders will be like, oh, we should have put the game away in the first half, and then we'll be like, defenders also look and say, hey,
you should have tracked back earlier.
We're up. What are you doing? It's all those things that come into it. So
it's true.
It's the game of football.
That's how it is.
And when it comes to goalkeepers, and it's true. I mean, when they make a great save, it's like, they collect a paycheck too. Last I checked. Here's Andre Blake.
Andre, of two halves, what changed in the second half?
I mean, we got back to the locker room, and man to a man, we said to each other, listen, we're not going to go down like this. We know we are better than this. I think in the first half, we were a little bit tentative. Coach made a few tactical adjustments, made a sub, and, we just gave it our all, and thank God tonight we were able to come away with a big win.
The program has struggled a little bit. How big is this victory?
It's hard, there's a lot going on, but these guys, I tell them every day, I believe in them, I know what they can do. And, we're just getting started. We still have a lot of work to do, but I believe this group can do really well.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Jamaicans continued to believe they were in this one, and their belief also with tactical changes paid off in that second half. As you can see, they turned things around and ended up getting 3 goals in that second half, one by way of penalty, which ended up sealing the deal for Canada being eliminated from the Final Four of Concacaf Nations League, and it makes their path a little bit more difficult for Copa America, as these full-time stats brought to you by Toyota. When we return, we'll continue to take a look at this game, but we'll also look ahead, because we know this is going to be, there's only one more month left in the year, but still a busy year for Canada soccer. They want to name a general secretary who will then be tasked with going out and getting a coach. Mauro Biello has made it clear he wants to be that head coach. What does this result mean, though? We'll discuss more when we come back.
One day, we won't have to work 2 jobs.
One day, we won't have to be players on the field and activists off of it.
One day, I'll see them and know I can be them.
One day, more sponsors will compete to join our roster.
One day, we won't have to leave Canada to play professionally.
But all of these one days are on the line. The future
of women's soccer
is on the line.
If you don't support us today.
Thank you, Canada, for making dreams come true. We're with you all the way.
As we take a look at the new year, here's what the schedule entails for the Canadian men's national team. So they still have a chance to qualify for Copa America on March 23rd. It's the play-in round. Later tonight, Mexico and Honduras play. If Mexico wins, Canada will play Trinidad and Tobago. If Honduras wins, Canada will play Costa Rica for that chance to play in Copa America, which goes June 20th to July 14th. Between June 3rd and 11th, there is an international window. You know, all eyes will be on Canada Soccer to see who they can get for the men's team to play, having missed a window in September. Also, what's going to come up in the new year, as we welcome you back to the show and inside our One Soccer studio, Andy, Jordan, and Carm with you. As we know, Canada Soccer, relatively soon in the new year, they want to name a general secretary. Right now, Jason DeVos is the interim general secretary. They want somebody in that position permanently, and they want that person to be tasked with hiring a head coach. Mauro Biello has put his name in the hat. He says, I want this. So how busy, is this next month or so going to be for Canada Soccer? And do you think this result plays into their decision when it comes to Mauro Biello, or was it always going to be a new general secretary kind of doing their thing?
Well, to answer your first question, it's crucial. I think everyone who watches this game and loves it knows that you need people in place. You need a general secretary, you need someone to lay down the law. We need something moving forward so that everyone can have something concrete in place. That's the first thing. Mauro Biello, this was an opportunity to go and show that he can get things right. And it's crazy because halftime we're singing praises and just how quickly it crumbled. Now it's difficult because you brought in the guys that you knew, you played guys that you knew, and you still didn't get the job done. And we know now in the culture, it's not really so much about the players. The first thing you look at is a manager.
Always.
Can they get the best out of this group? That is the number one question. And you can have a good time and be rolling with it for a little bit, but if you get into a run of losing big games, it's on the manager. So now it's a tall order for Biello.
Yeah, and no matter how we feel about it, it was probably about 3 out of 4 halves of football done pretty well and done right, if you want to look at it objectively. But when you don't get the ultimate job done, you're going to dig, you're going to go for the top first. Agree with your comments around general secretary. You need somebody getting this country back on track. Not that Jason isn't doing that. I'm just saying somebody permanently with the vision looking towards this home World Cup. That's going to, competitions drive everything else, don't they? They start to order all the development, all the sort of priorities within the country. So I'm very much, and I think we all are, looking forward to that appointment.
Looking ahead to 2026 World Cup, I think squad selection, it always matters, but I think people are going to be scrutinizing it even more because there's a real belief that players who are currently on this squad will not be here for 2026. Like, you automatically just look at the players based on age. So you automatically look at a Steven Vittoria, or you start to look at a Milan Borjan. So in the new year, in that game, March 23rd, which is a crucial game, they end up going to Copa, that international window. Do you want to see more of the players you feel legitimately have a chance to be with this 2026 World Cup squad?
For me, the answer is yes, and an absolute yes, because you need to see, they need those experiences heading into the biggest world stage. That's a guarantee for them. They need to know how it feels to play against the best nations under the highest pressure. And even if they're not fully ready, there's no other way to get ready. You need to start ripping the Band-Aid and giving players minutes.
You asked me today, I would say that ride with the guys that you've been riding with, but I'm also looking at July, the Nation League final, where you played similar to a squad tonight, veterans that you knew. At a point, you gotta try something new. You gotta bring in some new guys and new flavor. I'm not saying that this group isn't getting things done. I'm saying that there needs to be some fresh blood infused into this group. Not all at once. Carm, your manager, you can't go and put 8 new guys on the pitch.
Healthy competition. That's
2, 3 guys that you feel that deserve it, because I think this group needs some infusion of new talent, new hunger to really just put themselves on the line.
Do you think sometimes a new coach who has zero attachment can do that?
That's always the biggest debate, It's something you're building on. Do they believe in the initial vision to say that Mauro is going to continue to push it forward, and they like the initial vision? There's nothing to say it was poor or bad. They've made history, this team, time and time again. We talked about it all night. But to your point, if this needs a refresh, only they will know from the players' debriefs, from the staff debriefs, the stuff we may not even really know what's going on. I couldn't say that confidently right now, that they need a full new vision. I don't know that right now.
It's so difficult because it's a coin with 2 sides. The one side, Canada go out and win this game today. Mauro Biello got everything right. Literally. That's how close.
No.
Literally.
Literally.
Went to Jamaica, went to Independence Park, took care of business, came to BMO, took care of business.
It's true.
And then it flipped and went another side, and now we're questioning everything. Football can be cruel sometimes.
That is literally the world of sport. They pull off their first victory in Jamaica since 1988. They come out flying here. To your point, if you look at it, 4 halves, 3, they dominated.
Fantastic.
This is, but you're right. The end result is what matters, and this is a team that keeps talking about wanting to win trophies and being the best in Concacaf. And right now, this was a big misstep tonight. So this is going to be a lot of debriefing here, seeing what they can do. They have to gather things because they still have a massive game that will be coming up in March of next year. It is a loss here to Jamaica here tonight. It is a loss, first go to qualify for Copa America, and definitely a loss to qualify for the Final Four in Concacaf Nations League. Jamaica moving on. You've been watching the matches right here on One Soccer. On behalf of Carmelina Moscato, Jordan Wilson, I'm Manny Petrillo. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
To play. It's something that's in us from the very beginning, and something we take with us on every step of the journey. When we have no words, it gives us a way to speak. When we are still finding our way in the world, it gives us somewhere to belong. And no matter who we are or where we come from, it gives us the right to dream.
Christine Sinclair, as she scores at her 5th World Cup. Alfonso Davies!
It's time to celebrate the game we love. It's time to play.
Life's better with extra space. Space for family. Space for memories. Space for you. Try 4 weeks free. Access Storage, proud partner of Canada Soccer.
Degree, 72-hour non-stop protection. Antiperspirant with motion sense. Tested to the limit. Degree, keeps working when others stop.
How do you go from the best to the ultimate without breaking the bank? You choose the big, bold, ultimate taste of